So welcome to the Magic Modena YouTube channel. I also have an Instagram account at Magic Modena and a blog modena360.life. All of my channels are really about this beautiful car and what it's like to live with it. I've had it around 2 years and I had other sports cars, Porsches, Maserati and so on, but I think this was the big jump for me, the big, slightly nerve-wracking decision. And I know I did a ton of research, which others do, before deciding whether to take the plunge, and also, you know, which one to go for. And I think there's a lot of questions out there about cost and reliability. There's lots of videos from the US about what it's like to have one. So I thought, like, my first video, I'd just really focus on the car before we get into kind of what works, what doesn't, and so on. So it's the V8, the Modena 360. It's the V8. This one is 2000 plate. It's 400 horsepower, 3.6 litre, and really feels, can't really describe it. The first time you drive it, it feels like a step up from a 911 in terms of just the aggression of the engine behind you and the acceleration. It's a very light car. It just, something very special about it. I used to talk about the 911 being just this, you know, incredible how it handled. It did handle. I had a 911 C4S. It was an unbelievable car. Still love it. But I've got to say, this thing goes around corners even better. It feels even more secure. And, you know, it's just a monster of a car, basically. I don't know how else to put it. For those of you that are sort of thinking about the first Ferrari, this is, I get it, like, it's nerve-wracking. It's nerve-wracking because you know that things can go wrong and you hear the horror stories. And I was the same. Like, I feel like I was walking on eggshells. Maybe still do. Even 2 years later, I've driven it like quite regularly, but I've put it away in the winter and so on. So I probably do still have that feeling every single time I get in it. I think that's natural, and I also think it's sort of part of the excitement. So I think I'll just do like a quick walk around while I think about it. So, you know, I guess the first thing is I went for a very classic. I was looking specifically for very classic. I wanted standard exhaust. Again, like, this is personal taste, but a lot of people go for tubey exhausts and so on. The trouble is, they sound, they have that kind of constant droning sound, like loud burbling sound. When the car accelerates, they also sound incredible, no doubt. The thing is that they lack is these things have the valves that open. And so you can be burbling along with this and it feels very quiet and not really that impressive. And then you put your foot down and suddenly the thing comes to life. The valves open, the sound screeches. I honestly thought the car had broken the first time I drove it when the exhaust kicked in. So I've gone for very, very classic, standard exhaust, standard wheels. I've gone for red. I did look at some black ones. And after I bought this, actually, someone said to me, listen, you know, if it's your first Ferrari, it should be red. If you've got multiple Ferraris, then go pick whatever colour you like, but your first one should always be red. And I'm pleased I did, actually, looking back. And then I went for tan interior. I also think that's just a classic combination. So tan interior, and of course, in my view, manual. Again, one of the biggest debates. Do you go manual or F1? I just really don't see the point in going F1. They're still great cars, but I just don't see the point in it. Because, you know, in another few years, every car will be paddle shift in some shape or form, or automatic, and people are going to long for manual, and especially in a Ferrari. So gone for manual. Condition's pretty good. Generally condition is good. I waited a long time. I think it's really important to wait and look at lots of cars and drive them. You very quickly learn the different kind of how they drive, how they feel, and you know, they are different. There's no doubt they are different. So it's worth waiting until you've got exactly the right setup. And you know, there is no better feeling than when you first get in and look over your rear view mirror and have that as a sight. So this is the interior, and then we've got a few buttons and so on down here. So let's just open this up. I can open there we go. One of the first things you'll learn about this car is you always have to have the ignition on if you want to open the petrol cap, the bonnet, or anything else. So I'll just give that a little flick, and then while I'm here, I'll also pop the bonnet. So I hope you like the interior there. So just coming around to the front, I was actually quite surprised that the boot, just one second. Sorry about that, low quality production. I was actually surprised with how big the boot is. It is more than capable of putting 2 or 3 holdalls in there. So actually I would say for a holiday for 2, there's just plenty of space. There's these lovely toolkits and other beautiful Ferrari equipment that come in here as original. There is actually also behind the seats a decent, I would say, space for bags. It's a bit of a cliche, but I have also put golf clubs behind there, which when it was first advertised, this car, that was one of the things they advertised, was the fact you could put golf clubs behind it. So if you want to look at the engine, obviously everyone's favourite part. Now I have a job to do because I'm going to be cleaning up this exhaust and getting it back to shiny. But again, I've driven it a bit recently, so it's not perfect, but it is pretty good shape. Actually one of the first things I did with the car was have a full detail done on it. I just felt like I wanted a once over right at the start, so I did that. And you know, I think I'm pleased, because then you just have to touch it up. You just have to give it a little wipe down or a quick wash every so often. And you know, recently I've been putting a bit of leather cream on, and you know, it's something that I really wanted to spend some time on, and just try and make the car as nice as possible. I think if you start her up, just to finish off this introductory video. Just here we have to we just have to start this. interested in. Meat credit. Like that sound. And so with that, I'll leave it there.